The film begins with Peter Parker, who talks about his life saying, "Hi, I'm Peter Parker." During this, he is scrolling through Instagram and social media on his phone. There, he sees new posts and reels from Ned and MJ. Both are celebrating the end of their college life and are very excited about their new beginnings. Peter smiles seeing them, but deep down, he has already made a decision. He does not want any danger to enter their happy lives again. That is why he never reminds them that he is their old friend Peter Parker and also Spider-Man. Peter also has a letter for MJ in which he has written everything from his heart. He starts reading it, and with that, his story moves forward. On the other hand, as Spider-Man, Peter has now become more famous than ever. The entire city considers him their hero. Even the police commissioner trusts him completely. The pair of them looks exactly like Batman and Commissioner Gordon. Peter is constantly catching the city's dangerous criminals. He defeats villains like Tombstone, Tarantula, and Scorpion and hands them over to the Department of Damage Control. But amidst all this, a strange problem also emerges. For some time now, Peter has been having constant severe headaches. This pain has started bothering him not just physically but mentally as well. To do his work better, he also rents the top storage floor of the same building and turns it into his new workshop, where he works on all his Spider-Man gadgets and experiments. Meanwhile, a high-security department vehicle suddenly goes out of control, leaves their warehouse, and starts speeding straight toward the headquarters. Peter, the police, and the department team try their best to stop it. Just then, Frank Castle, also known as the Punisher, arrives there too. His method is completely different. He wants to use his guns and explosives to eliminate the threat inside the vehicle. But Spider-Man does not believe in taking anyone's life. So Peter intervenes to stop the Punisher and somehow gets him away from the vehicle. After this, a lighthearted banter between the two is seen, which becomes the start of their interesting chemistry later on. Finally, Peter opens the door of the vehicle by himself. An elderly woman steps out from inside. In the beginning, everything seems normal. But the very next moment, her behavior changes completely. Actually, that woman's body is possessed by a mysterious force that has the ability to jump from one body to another. Within a few seconds, that power enters the body of a department employee present there. This same employee was responsible for taking Scorpion from the department headquarters to Rose Avenue Jail. But as soon as it takes control of him, the situation changes. Now he orders Scorpion to be taken to a different location instead of the jail. Spider-Man immediately confronts him. Through that employee's body, the same mysterious power talks to Peter. But after a while, its control suddenly ends and the employee returns to normal. This makes it clear that this time Spider-Man is not facing an ordinary enemy, but a mysterious force that can possess anyone's body. After this, it is revealed that the mysterious power was not limited to just one person. It had also taken control of the department employees who were shifting Scorpion to another jail by helicopter. The result was that Scorpion was set free on the way, and now he was out of reach for both the police and the department. This matter had now become even more serious. Therefore, the police commissioner entrusts the responsibility of this entire investigation to Spider-Man, that is, Peter Parker. While searching for clues, Peter reaches a high-security building, where he meets Black Widow, whom we have already seen in Thunderbolts. A funny moment happens here as well. Peter goes straight to her bathroom to get the necessary information from her, which leads to a lighthearted banter between the two. During the conversation, Black Widow provides some shocking information. According to her, that mysterious force had taken control of about 30 department employees to search through old government records. The thing that was searched for the most in those records was named VMAX. This name might seem trivial now, but it is going to become the most important part of the entire story later on. After getting this information, Peter goes straight to the DODC headquarters, where he meets the department's director, Will Medgar. Before entering the headquarters, he undergoes a very strict security check. His entire body is scanned and his identity is verified at every level. Once inside, Peter constantly questions the director. Why was Scorpion released in the first place? Who is this power that is possessing people? And the biggest question, what exactly is VMAX? But the director evades every question. He claims that he knows nothing about this. Meanwhile, Peter notices a massive high-security vault. He realizes that the mysterious power's real target might be something extremely dangerous kept inside this vault. This is where the film offers another big surprise. Inside the department, Peter encounters ninjas from the Hand organization. At first seeing them, it seems like they are enemies. The director explains that these people are no longer criminals. They have been shown a new path, and now these ninjas have become part of the department's security team. After all these events, Peter goes to a coffee and grocery shop to feel a bit normal. Just then, he suddenly spots Ned. Seeing his best friend after many months, Peter cannot stop himself and quietly follows him to his apartment. There, he meets MJ and Ned, but hiding his true identity, he calls himself Ben, which becomes an emotional moment reminiscent of Aunt May. During the conversation, it is revealed that Spider-Man's famous Spidey Tracker app was actually created by Ned. But then, another big shock comes for Peter. He sees that MJ has now moved on in her life and has a new boyfriend too. Seeing them together, Peter is completely shattered from within. His mental stress suddenly increases so much that his spider powers start becoming uncontrollable. Upon returning home, he faints and falls to the ground. The next morning, when he opens his eyes, he finds himself hanging halfway out of his building's wall. He has no idea what happened to him overnight. When he tries to wear his mechanical web shooters, they suddenly fall off because organic webs were now coming directly from his body. Not just that, his spider sense had also become many times more powerful than before. Now he could clearly hear distant sounds, and his brain was sensing every small movement. To understand his new powers, he goes outside to test the webs. That is when the film gives a fantastic Easter egg for old Spider-Man fans. Peter smiles and says the other Spidey, meaning Tobey Maguire, also had organic webs. That was truly amazing. Hearing this dialogue brings a smile to the faces of old Spider-Man fans. Peter jokingly says that if the other Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, can look so cool with organic webs, then maybe I can too. But reality is completely different. The webs had started coming out of his body, but he had no control over them at all. Sometimes the web would go in the wrong direction, or come out for no reason at all. Managing his new powers had become even more difficult for him than before. Just then the police commissioner suddenly calls. News arrives that Scorpion is wreaking havoc in the city. It looked as if he was searching for something specific. Without wasting any time, Peter heads out to face Scorpion in that very state. But this time the fight turns out to be completely one-sided. Unable to control his new powers, Peter cannot even fight properly, and Scorpion injures him badly. During this, a revelation occurs that changes the entire story. Scorpion suddenly smiles and says, "You still haven't understood. I am not the real Scorpion." It becomes clear that Scorpion's body is possessed by the same mysterious force that had previously taken control of the department's employees. By the time Peter could understand anything, his condition had become critical, and that is when something strange begins to happen inside him. The color of his eyes changes, his DNA begins to mutate rapidly, and in a few seconds his entire behavior changes. He is no longer the kind-hearted Spider-Man he used to be. In a fit of rage, he picks up Scorpion and slams him with full force into a police van. The impact is so horrific that a female police officer sitting inside the van almost loses her life. Scorpion also falls to the ground, severely injured. A while later, when the effect of that mysterious force wears off his body, he himself is left shocked. He cannot believe that Spider-Man launched such a brutal attack, because the Spider-Man he knew never tried to take anyone's life. After the incident, the police commissioner also warns Peter. She says, "If that police officer had died today, even I wouldn't have been able to protect you. Fix whatever is happening to you as soon as possible." This shakes Peter to his core. To find the reason for the changes happening in his body, he arrives at MIT, where he meets Dr. Bruce Banner. To hide his identity, he introduces himself as Ned Leeds and starts asking questions about genetic mutation. Peter explains that his body is changing rapidly and he wants to stop it. He remembered that Bruce Banner had also created a special inhibitor system to control the Hulk within him. Inspired by this, Peter wants to build a similar device so his DNA doesn't mutate further and he can live a normal life with his old spider powers. During the conversation, Banner realizes that the boy sitting in front of him is not his student. Even so, he listens to him carefully. After returning home, Peter works hard in the lab all night and finally manages to prepare an inhibitor. But the problem was not over yet. The machine keeps overheating repeatedly. The circuits burn out, and the system fails during every test. Its design looks exactly like the one Dr. Octopus used to wear behind his neck. Finally, Peter decides that it is time for a field test. But as soon as he goes out into the city wearing it, everything backfires. As soon as he jumps from a high building, he loses his balance. He falls several stories down, and his web grenades also explode. At that same moment, some strangers on the street suddenly start talking to him by his name. At first, Peter doesn't understand anything, but the very next moment, he realizes that all these people are also under the control of that mysterious power. In reality, that power was now sitting right inside his house. It had dug up all of Peter's information. It even knew everything about MJ. It threatens Peter, saying, "Don't get in my way, Scorpion is working for me now. If you try to stop me, the next target will be MJ." After this, a dangerous chase begins on the streets of the city. That mysterious power tries to reach MJ quickly by jumping from one person's body to another. And on the other side, Spider-Man runs after it to stop it at any cost. Just then, Peter's new AI assistant, EVE, who works like Jarvis and Friday, starts tracking the hopping pattern of that mysterious power. Now, for the first time, Peter had a real chance to stop it. That's when Peter's AI discovers something extremely important. The mysterious power he was chasing had a major weakness. It could only move from one person's body to another if the distance between them was less than 33 feet, meaning if there was no one nearby, it would be trapped there. Meanwhile, that force takes control of a helicopter pilot's body. Then what? Peter immediately stops the helicopter flying in the air with his webs right in the middle of the sky. Now that mysterious force had no way to escape, because there was no other human present within a 33-foot radius. Seeing this opportunity, Peter goes straight to MJ's apartment. In a worried voice, he says, "MJ, you are in great danger. Come with me right now." At first, MJ doesn't believe his words at all, but Spider-Man himself was standing in front of her, so she goes with him without asking too many questions. They both reach the roof of a tall building. They both remain silent for a while. Then suddenly, MJ smiles and says, "I don't know why, but it feels like we have known each other before. Otherwise, how do you manage to arrive every time to save my life?" Peter's unable to say anything. In the conversation, the atmosphere becomes a bit emotional. Suddenly, MJ takes off his mask and says, "I remember everything. Peter, I recognize you." Hearing this, Peter becomes completely emotional. They both come close to each other, and then they even share a kiss. But the very next moment, the whole truth comes out. It wasn't MJ at all. That mysterious force had possessed her body and staged this whole drama to deceive Peter. Suddenly, it forces MJ's body to jump off the roof. For a moment, it seems that history will repeat itself, but this time Peter does not make any mistake. He jumps at lightning speed, catches MJ in midair, and pulls her up safely. This whole scene reminds us of the tragic death of Gwen Stacy in The Amazing Spider-Man, but this time Peter does not let his biggest mistake be repeated. As soon as they recover, a black luxury car pulls up below. A butler steps out of it, but the real game was yet to begin. That mysterious force now starts talking to Peter through the butler's body. It says in a cold voice, "Do not come in my way, otherwise you cannot even imagine what will happen to MJ." Saying this, the butler sits back in the car, and the vehicle drives away. During this time, Peter makes another major discovery. Now he realizes that behind this entire conspiracy is not an ordinary human, but Jean Grey. Hearing this name makes the danger feel many times greater than before. To keep MJ safe, Peter takes her straight to Frank Castle, the Punisher's hideout. This place looks less like a home and more like a battlefield filled with weapons. As soon as they enter, they accidentally trigger several dangerous traps and barely manage to save their lives. Peter tells Frank, "I once saved your life. Today I need your help. Please keep MJ safe." Frank replies with his usual smirk, "I didn't need your help back then either." But eventually he agrees. MJ was now under Frank's protection. While going inside, MJ's eyes fall on the old pictures of Frank's family kept in his kitchen. She innocently asks, "Is this your family?" This very question rips open Frank's old wounds once again. He says angrily, "No one will ask about my family in my house, and no one will touch any of my things." For a few moments, the atmosphere becomes completely tense. Just then, Peter changes the subject, saying he needs to fix his inhibitor. He talks about going home, but Frank stops him immediately. "There's no need to go home. The gear I have for making bombs will also fix your machine." After this, Peter sits behind a curtain, takes off his mask, and starts working on the inhibitor. On the other side of the curtain, MJ is sitting. They cannot see each other, but the conversation continues, steadily. During this, MJ smiles and asks, "So tell me, Mr. Spider-Man, is there someone special in your life?" After a few seconds of silence, Peter replies with a faint smile. "Not anymore, but there once was." The pain hidden in his voice could be clearly felt. Meanwhile, the inhibitor Peter built overheats and breaks down once again. Just then, MJ comes from the other side of the curtain to help him. Together they investigate and realize that the radiation field emitting from Peter's suit and mask is what keeps breaking the inhibitor. Using her coding skills, MJ makes some changes to the system, and finally the inhibitor starts working properly. Right here, Peter also prepares a universal inhibitor that could be used on any superpowered person. Her real target was Jean Grey, so that her telekinetic powers could be stopped. But just then, emergency news arrives. Jean Grey had attacked the headquarters of the Department of Damage Control. She had reached there to obtain the mysterious object hidden inside, the VMAX. Without wasting a moment, Peter takes the inhibitor and heads out. Meanwhile, MJ tells Punisher that the one who once saved your life needs you today. Hearing this, Punisher picks up his weapons and leaves to help Peter. But Peter is stunned upon reaching the headquarters. Professor Hulk was already present there. Actually, Jean Grey had taken over his mind and, by removing his inhibitor, had brought him under her control. Peter tries to stop her, but Jean doesn't listen to him at all. Suddenly, Hulk breaks free from Jean's control and transforms into a far more dangerous, savage Hulk. Now the entire area turned into a battlefield. On one side, a fierce battle begins between Hulk and Spider-Man, while on the other, Punisher rains down bullets. Peter tries multiple times to attach the inhibitor on Hulk, but every attempt proves futile due to his thick skin. Finally, they both come up with a plan. Peter gets busy trying to hold back Hulk, while Punisher goes after Jean Grey. But then the game turns around. Jean Grey takes over Punisher's mind as well. Now the same Punisher starts clearing the way for her, and with a massive explosion, breaks into the high-security vault, where the department's director Bill was present. Here, while fighting Hulk, Peter is left with no other choice. Finally, he reveals his true identity. He says to Hulk, "Bruce, it's me, Peter." Upon hearing these words, Bruce Banner returns to himself for a few moments. To control himself, he jumps off the building so that no one else gets hurt. Inside the vault, Jean Grey has almost reached her victory. But just then, Spider-Man comes from behind and attaches the Universal Inhibitor to her neck. Within a few seconds, all of Jean Grey's powers are gone. Punisher is freed from her control, and the department's team immediately arrests Jean Grey. Just before losing consciousness, Jean says only one name, Sarah. Hearing this name leaves Peter even more confused. After this, he returns to Frank's boat. But waiting for him there was the biggest twist of the entire story. MJ had finally found the letter that Peter once wrote for her. Now she knew Peter's true identity and the whole truth, and this is where they finally confront each other, where it was no longer possible to hide anything. But just then, MJ breaks Peter's heart. In a calm voice, she says, "I'm not the girl you loved, and honestly, I don't love you either." Hearing this, Peter is completely shattered. MJ starts to leave, but she doesn't have her phone. She asks Peter for just one small favor. "Will you drop me home?" Without saying a word, Peter drops her off at her apartment. After reaching home, MJ makes one more request. "Can you meet Ned?" Peter goes upstairs, and after meeting Ned for the first time in a while, they sit together for a bit. In the meantime, Ned steps out for some work. Seeing the chance, Peter tells MJ something that had been eating him up inside. He says, "When Jean Grey had taken control of your body, she kissed me. I don't want to hide this from you." MJ replies in shock, "I don't remember anything. I don't have a single memory from the time I was under her control." Hearing this, alarm bells start ringing in Peter's mind. He suddenly remembers what Department Director Bill had said. Bill had claimed that he was also under Jean's control and even mentioned the name Serana. But if nobody remembers anything during the possession, then how did Bill know all that? It meant Bill was hiding something. Without wasting a second, Peter rushes toward the department headquarters at full speed. Meanwhile, in the department's secret facility, Jean Grey was locked in a high-security chamber. Now, dangerous experiments were about to begin on her. This is where the biggest secret of the entire story is revealed. The VMAX that everyone thought was a mysterious weapon. It was actually not a machine at all. It was just mounted to the ceiling of that room. It was a VMAX company air conditioner. Jean's sister, Sarah Grey, had sent a telepathic signal indicating that she had been held captive in this very room. This reveals that the DODC had captured Sarah Grey years ago, performed inhumane experiments on her, and she eventually died in that very lab. Now, the same thing was about to happen to Jean Grey all over again. As soon as the experiments begin, the anger and pain suppressed inside Jean explode outward. She unleashes such a terrifying telekinetic blast that the entire city of New York is caught in it. Hundreds of people are frozen exactly where they stand. Chaos erupts throughout the entire city. Only Frank Castle somehow escapes this psychic attack and sets out on his mission. Meanwhile, Peter had also reached the department's facility. But reaching Jean was not going to be that easy. Standing in his way were the Hands Ninjas, who are now completely under Jean's control. Following this, a fierce fight begins. Peter takes on dozens of ninjas all by himself, but his condition becomes critical from the constant fighting. Jean asks him via telepathy, "Decide, are you Peter Parker or just Spider-Man?" Peter smiles and replies, "Both, and that is my greatest strength." As soon as he says this, the final resolve awakens within him. Now his strength had increased many times over. In a matter of minutes, he defeats all the ninjas. But as always, he does not take anyone's life. This was the difference between Spider-Man and other heroes. Finally, Peter reaches the lab where Jean Grey was present. He sees that Jean has used her telekinetic power to hold sharp shards of glass right in front of Bill's face. Just one gesture, and Bill's death was certain. This is where the story's greatest moral debate begins, where power, revenge, and humanity stand face to face. Now the story reaches its most emotional point. Jean Grey and Peter stand face to face. Peter tries to reason with her, saying, "Our power makes us unique, but with it our responsibility also increases. A true hero is one who uses their power to protect people." Jean replies in a pained voice, "Power has only given me pain, and it has taken away everyone I ever loved." After this, Jean enters Peter's mind with her telepathic powers. But there she hears not hatred, but that lesson from Aunt May, the one that had once changed Peter's entire life. Hearing Aunt May's words, Jean realizes for the first time that in the fire of revenge, she has become the very thing she hated. Her eyes are opened. But on the other side, the Punisher does not want to take any more risks. He sits on a tall building in the distance with a sniper rifle and takes direct aim at Jean. As soon as the trigger is pulled, Peter's spidey sense senses the danger. Without wasting a second, he leaps in front of Jean, and the bullet meant for her hits Peter straight in the chest. Peter falls to the ground, badly wounded. Seeing this, the Punisher is stunned. He immediately rushes Peter to the hospital. Sometime later, when Peter regains consciousness, the Punisher apologizes to him for his mistake. All the misunderstandings between the two end right there. When Peter walks out of the hospital, the scene outside is worth seeing. All of New York was waiting for their hero. Thousands of people were standing there just to catch a glimpse of Spider-Man. Meanwhile, the Punisher jokingly puts on the Spider-Man mask and starts waving at the people from the window, which makes the atmosphere a bit lighter and more fun. After this, Peter reaches the same coffee shop where he first met Ned. He smiles and says, "Hi, I'm Peter." The two perform their old iconic handshake. At that very moment, everything comes back to Ned. He realizes that this Peter Parker is the real Spider-Man. With this emotional moment, the film comes to an end. Finally, it is shown that Jean Grey has accepted her mistakes and will now protect the world alongside Spider-Man in the future. So friends, if you liked our explanation video, please like it, share it with your friends, and comment to let us know how you liked this film.